Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors are looking to make roster upgrades and are showing interest in Lauri Markkanen. If the Utah Jazz decide to trade the player, it would be a major deal to bring him to the Warriors. Without even factoring in how loaded the Western Conference is around the NBA, it's safe to say that the Golden State Warriors could use a ton of help on both sides of the basketball. Frankly, the Warriors aren't exactly in a great spot, and unless the front office has a plan to pair Stephen Curry and Draymond Green with a bit more talent, it's tough to see a scenario where they have an opportunity to win a championship next season. Warriors acquire a shooting big man in trade idea. Now, with the Golden State Warriors not exactly in the best spot, the front office could look to take a chance and make a blockbuster trade. However, unfortunately, it isn't like the Warriors are in the best position to make a trade either. The Warriors have some assets and could move Jonathan Kuminga in a sign-and trade, but outside of that, there isn't too much to work with. Looking for ways to improve that, Last Word on Sports recently proposed the idea of them trading for Lauri Markkanen of the Utah Jazz. Markkanen, a big forward who can play the 5 when needed, is one of the better big man three-point shooters in the NBA and has proven to be an above-average defender. Until the Jazz come out and say they are not trading Lauri Markkanen, or he ends up on another team, the Warriors will be a contender for his services. While his stats might be down the last 2 seasons, Lauri needs a good passer to shine. He hasn't had one in Utah. Markkanen is not a self-creator, but still a good scorer. We've seen how the Warriors can utilize shooting and scoring big men. Last season, their rookie Quinton Post showed great potential as a stretch big after he got some playing time. The challenge is, the Jazz probably would not like to get Kuminga, and the only viable way for the Warriors to get a star via trade is if they send Jonathan the other way. Will they up their offer of draft picks to get Lauri? He is definitely a player who can move the needle, they wrote. Will Utah make Markkanen available? The only issue the Golden State Warriors might face when attempting to trade for a player like Markkanen is that many don't believe the Utah Jazz will make him available. According to a recent report from NBA insider of the Salt Lake Tribune, Andy Larson, prior to the draft, didn't expect Markkanen to be available. Perhaps things could change, as that's happened many times before in the NBA, but it seems that Utah is committed to putting together a competent roster in the near future, and Markkanen should be a part of that. I would say more likely than not that he's here, Larson said during his appearance on Locked on Jazz. I think ultimately, the team will still look at it as, we don't need to trade Lauri Markkanen now, and the offers have not, to this point, have been as good as they would like. So, I think, ultimately, it makes sense just to keep him. He remains a very good player who likes to play in Utah. All the reasons you gave him the contract still remain. Warriors predicted to pursue recently available 6 feet 9 inches big man on free agent market. The Golden State Warriors need some paint presence. Draymond Green has been an incredible center for them for some years, but at his age, it is taking too much of a toll on his body. Steve Kerr and the Warriors coaching staff are saying that they would like to limit Green's time at center next season. That's why so many Warriors free agency rumors have been centered around their pursuit of another big man. While Al Horford is the name that has been most closely linked to the Warriors, he still hasn't signed. So, when Richaun Holmes got bought out of his contract by the Washington Wizards, he became a new Warriors free agent target that could help with their size problems. NBA analyst Jake Weinbach reported that the Warriors could be on the short list of teams pursuing Holmes. Richaun Holmes would become a viable free agent option for the Warriors if they fail to recruit Al Horford to the Bay. The Hawks, Heat, and Lakers are other teams reportedly seeking frontcourt depth that should be considered potential suitors as well. Holmes is only 6 feet 9 inches, but he feels more like a proper center than most of the Warriors' frontcourt. He has barely played over the last few seasons, making injury concerns about signing him a real factor. But, if the Warriors strike out on Horford, or just want more center depth, he could be a decent signing on a veteran minimum. First, the Warriors need to see what happens with Horford before considering using up precious roster space for a risk like Holmes. Warriors fans have an uncomfortable Jonathan Kuminga truth they have to accept. this will be a risk either way. Now over 2 weeks since the start of free agency, the Golden State Warriors are still looking to resolve a complicated situation surrounding young forward Jonathan Kuminga. But whichever side of the equation you sit, whether it's hoping Kuminga is or isn't on the team entering next season, all Warrior fans have to accept that any decision is going to come with an uncomfortable level of risk. The Warriors will be taking an uncomfortable risk with Jonathan Kuminga. Given the difficult nature surrounding a sign-and-trade right now, along with the horror market for all restricted free agents currently, there's a growing likelihood that Golden State and Kuminga will have to reunite on a new contract. Doing so could cause concern for the Warriors as they look to build another championship-contending squad around the veteran trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. The evidence to date suggests Kuminga is not a fit with that trio, with the hope of that changing limited by the fact the spacing among Butler and Green is unlikely to get considerably better. If things don't improve, Golden State could be left with a disgruntled young player on a much more significant contract than what he's been on previously, hardly a recipe for success in an extremely tough Western Conference. However, the other path could open up an even more grim scenario for the Warriors to face, one where they give up a future star to a rival team at a low price. Kuminga wants to become a star in the league, and it's hard to argue with that aspiration when you look at his numbers when given considerable opportunity. In the 6 games where Kuminga played at least 30 minutes in his most recent injury-riddled season, he averaged 25.6 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 2.3 assists on 49.1% shooting from the floor and 34.6% from three-point range. In the 20 games in the previous year where he played at least 30 minutes, Kuminga averaged in excess of 21 points, nearly 6 rebounds and nearly 3 assists with an over 60% true shooting percentage. We can argue whether heavy Kuminga minutes actually leads to winning, but it's also a fact that he held a positive plus-minus in the last 2 years in games where seen at least 30 minutes. Even the pessimists can't ignore these numbers and the fact the former 7th overall pick still holds star-level potential. It's why the Warriors are still holding Kuminga at high value in sign-and-trade scenarios, rather than letting him go with little compensation in return. Former All-Star says Stephen Curry, Warriors need another Jordan Poole to seriously compete for an NBA title. NBA veteran Baron Davis claims Stephen Curry and the Warriors need another Jordan Poole type, i.e., an X-Factor young player to boost their championship hopes next season. Baron Davis, the former Warriors veteran, shared his opinion on what Golden State needs to do to be considered genuine title contenders for this season. The 2-time All-Star Davis recently appeared on Paul George's podcast and expressed what he felt about the direction the Warriors are headed in. "You would have wished, Klay was a part of that too. But having Jimmy, I think, gives them a real opportunity to compete for a Western Conference title. Now, it's just a matter of what young talent or who you can find that can become that X factor. Because we know who Steph is. We know Steph is gonna Steph, he's gonna cook. We know who Dre is, he's going to always finish top tier on the defense. We know Jimmy Butler is just dangerous. But they're older. Who's that young dude that's coming in the locker room like, yo, got this. Just tell me what y'all need me to do, and pour into me." And I don't think the Warriors have figured that out yet, right? Because it's still like, you got Kuminga, you got Pod, you got Moody, and so you got a lot of good, solid young players. Now you need that X factor. Like when Boston went and got Derek White, it was like, who is this dude? But all along, he has been killing. So, you've got to go find somebody who's like a valuable asset to this team. Like the year you won it with Jordan Poole, he was the X factor. If he gets hot, more people are hot out there. The Warriors have had a slow start to the offseason, but ended up losing a 3-time NBA champion in Kevin Looney to the Pelicans. Moreover, Jonathan Kuminga, their young disgruntled starlet, is still. Additionally, they are considered among the favorites to land Bradley Beal, 32 years old, or LeBron James, 40 years old, if their specific situations are sorted out with their current teams, if Beal agrees on a buyout and James asks for To an outsider of the Warriors, it seems like the Warriors are focused on solving their problems through veteran solutions instead of looking to build on young talent. Even Al Horford, who will likely. Therefore, the Warriors are seemingly going all in on their championship window, which seems to be closing rapidly with every season, and their aging core of Stephen Curry, 37 years old, Jimmy Butler. Just like It won't be far-fetched to conclude that the Warriors' title chances seem to be standing on thin ice after the next 2 years, and a full rebuild is approaching. Warriors expected to sign Al Horford and D'Anthony Melton. The Golden State Warriors are expected to sign Al Horford and D'Anthony Melton, according to NBA insider Mark Stein of the Stein Line. Horford and Melton are still on the open market, but they could sign with the Warriors soon. Horford played for the Boston Celtics last season, while Melton appeared in 6 games with the Warriors before tearing his left ACL. Golden State traded Melton to the Brooklyn Nets after the ACL injury. Horford played in 60 games for the Celtics last season. The 5-time All-Star and 2024 NBA champion averaged 9.0 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 2.1 assists while shooting 42.3% overall, 36.3% from beyond the arc and 89.5% from the foul line. Meanwhile, Melton averaged 10.3 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 2.8 assists last season with Golden State while shooting 40.7% from the field, 37.1% from beyond the arc and 62.5% from the free throw line. The Warriors lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round of the 2025 playoffs in 5 games after beating the Houston Rockets in the first round in 7 games.